We are reading from the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we were reading chapter 13th. In the 5th canto. So this is 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter 13th. I believe we had discussed till text 7, I believe. So probably we will start with text 8 today. I think we discussed the text 7 because Gandharvapuram. Let's begin with text 8 then, because that's what I remember as far as I can. Chalan kvachit kantaka sarkarangri nagarurukshur vimana ivaste pade pade abhyantara vahaninarditaha kautumbika krudhyati vaijanaya. Sometimes a merchant in the forest wants to climb the hills and mountains, but due to insufficient footwear, his feet are pricked by stone fragments and by thorns on the mountain. Being pricked by them, he becomes very aggrieved. Sometimes a person who is very attached to his family becomes overwhelmed with hunger, and due to his miserable condition, he becomes furious with his family members. Purport: the ambitious conditioned soul wants to be very happy in this material world with his family. But he is compared to a traveler in the forest who desires to climb a hill full of thorns and small stones. As stated in the previous verse, the happiness derived from society, friendship, and love is like a drop of water in the scorching heat of the desert. One may want to become very great and powerful in the society, but this is like attempting to climb a hill full of thorns. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur compares one's family to high mountains. Being happy in their association is like a hungry man's endeavoring to climb a mountain full of thorns. Almost 99.9% of the population is unhappy in family life, despite all the attempts being made to satisfy the family members. In the Western countries, due to the dissatisfaction of the family members, there is actually no family life. There are many cases of divorce, and out of dissatisfaction, the children leave the protection of their parents. Especially in this age of Kali, family life is being reduced. Everyone is becoming self-centered because that is the law of nature. Even if one has sufficient money to maintain a family, the situation is such that no one is happy in family life. Consequently, according to the Varnashrama institution, one has to retire from family life in a middle age. जय श्री निताई चांद गौर चांद भगवान की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी सुदर्शन महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Panchashodhvam vanam vrajet. One should voluntarily retire from family life at the age of 50 and go to Vrindavan or a forest. This is recommended by Srila Prahlad Maharaj. 7th canto, 5th chapter, 5th verse. Tatsadhu manye asuravardehi sada samudvigna dhiyam nasadgraha hitvatmapatam grihamandhakupam vanam gato yad harimashrayeta. There is no benefit in transferring from one forest to another. One must go to the Vrindavan forest and take shelter of Govinda. That will make one happy. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is therefore constructing a Krishna Balaram temple to invite its members as well as outsiders to come and live peacefully in a spiritual atmosphere. That will help one become elevated to the transcendental worlds and return home back to Godhead. Another sentence in this verse is very significant. Kautumbhika krudhyati vaijanaya. When one's mind is disturbed in so many ways, he satisfies himself by becoming angry with his poor wife and children. The wife and children are naturally dependent on the father being unable to maintain the family properly, becomes mentally distressed, and therefore chastises the family members unnecessarily. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Achinnadana dravina yasyanti kananam. Being disgusted with family life, one separates from the family by divorce or some other means. If one has to separate, why not separate willingly? Systematic separation is better than forced separation. Forced separation cannot make anyone happy. With the mutual consent or by Vedic arrangement, one must separate from family affairs at a certain age and fully depend on Krishna. That will make one's life successful. Srila Prabhupada is comparing rather expanding the comparison given by Maharaj Jadbharat. The family life is compared to an uphill climb. Prabhupada does mention about ambitions also. That one has a very lofty goal of becoming successful or having a lot of money. Now, carrying out the affairs of the family and the ambition both are in one way related to each other because person wants to get a lot of money to share this family members and enjoy with his family members. So both of them are related actually, but both of them have been equated. So this kind of a they're related. So rather one can say that the ambition, more ambitious, materially ambitious one is, more one is traversing. No, the steeper is the cliff which one is actually trying to climb. The steeper is the cliff, but it's an uphill climb. And Prabhupada is expanding on now or going into the depths of this analogy. It's like a hungry man trying to climb the hill, very painful. No food, at the same time, so much of hard work. Very, very painful. That is exactly what it means to carry out the affairs of. And in the analogy, Maharaj Jadabharat is explaining that one is pin-pricked, thorns and pebbles are pricking the person, but he cannot do anything about it. There is a classic difference between material struggle and spiritual struggle. In the material struggle, the candidate struggling is always dissatisfied. There is a feeling of emptiness always. Because as long as one is infatuated towards a certain goal and one doesn't achieve it, so there is this feeling of emptiness. And even if one is somehow able to achieve, suppose by mistake, by some destiny, good karma, pious karma, or something, one is able to achieve a desired material ambition, then also one feels empty because that ambition is just an empty packaging and inside is hollow. So even if one gets it, there's nothing inside. So even if someone is not satisfied, just like I remember in childhood, we used to eat, the children they eat these chips, potato chips. So that potato chips packet is very bulky. It looks very big. That packet is very big. To open the packet, most of it is air. It's such a big packet, one will feel that, so nice. I got such a big 1 kg packet, like that. It has so less chips that one can eat 5-10 packets like that. It's all air. As soon as open it, uh, and immediately all air actually, and the chips very less. So even after achieving it, person dissatisfied. Person is dissatisfied. There is no satisfaction even after achieving it. So that means that the pursuit for achieving and the goal, uh, the pursuit for achieving and the achievement both give the same realization of emptiness. This is material struggle. Empty to pursue, uh, empty if one fails, and empty if one succeeds. Material pursuit is like that. I'm sure spiritual life also there is struggle, especially if you want to carry out the mission of the Lord. So there is struggle. But the classic difference is spiritual struggle, the devotee is always satisfied. The devotee is always absorbed. In that sense, the devotee is always full. Beginning of the pursuit, the middle of the pursuit, end of the pursuit upon failure, end of the pursuit upon success, both. How is it so? How is it so? Because a devotee is happy struggling for Krishna, and whatever is, and the devotee is offering whatever he or she has to the Supreme Lord, and that is great satisfaction. That is the point. So the point is this. See, just like Srila Prabhupada was there in Shidam Mayapur, 1970. So Prabhupada, now we hear Srila Prabhupada told Jayapataka Maharaj that here is the spiritual world, I am giving you the spiritual world. You develop it, grow it, and enjoy, relish. So now the point is here. 1970s, Mayapur was a paddy field. So what Prabhupada is telling, I am giving spiritual world to you. You relish it, you enjoy and grow it. That means relish it, enjoy and grow it. That means even when it was rice paddy field and there is only one kutir where Sri Radha Madhav's small deities were there, at that time also there was full relish and enjoyment. And now also when TOP is just about to manifest, whenever you go to Mayapur, there is full relish and enjoyment. But from that stage to come to this stage has been a great amount of struggle. But at any point in that struggle, the devotee who is struggling is offering his or her very best. And therefore, the devotee is never empty. That is the point. This is the classic difference between material struggle and spiritual struggle. Spiritual struggle, one is always full. One is always full. Therefore, a devotee never faces this uphill situation. But whereas the materialistic person experiences this uphill situation, uphill climb filled with pebbles, disturbances. The Prabhupada is giving the statistic 99% of people are dissatisfied. And therefore the divorce and breakup is happening. And Prabhupada is giving a brilliant idea. Anyways, people want to separate. Why not separate in a systematic way? By taking vanaprastha and then sannyas. So Prabhupada is saying, very beautiful. Systematic separation much better than forced separation. Because systematic separation means adding Krishna in one's life and the lives of family members. If you are actually adding Krishna, we are going closer. That is the point. To each other, to the Lord, to happiness, to depth, to meaning. That's why Prabhupada is saying systematic separation much better than forced separation. Forced separation, misery. Absolute misery. Absolute misery. Let's read further. Chennigirno Jagaradhina Jano Havaiti Kinchit Vipine Pavidha Ashtasmasete Kvachadanda Sukhe. Lo Andakupe Patitastamishre. The conditioned soul in this material world is sometimes swallowed by a python or crushed. At such a time, he is left lying in the forest like a dead person, devoid of consciousness and knowledge. Sometimes other poisonous snakes bite him. Being blind to his consciousness, he falls down into a dark well of hellish life with no hope of being rescued. But when one becomes unconscious due to being bitten by a snake, one cannot understand what is taking place outside the body. This unconscious condition is the condition of deep sleep. Similarly, the conditioned soul is actually sleeping on the lap of the illusory energy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Hota Nidraya Pisachera Kole. O living entity, how long will you sleep in this condition on the lap of the illusory energy? People do not understand that they are actually sleeping in this material world, being devoid of the knowledge of spiritual life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Enachya Shadhi Nashibaro Lagi Harinam Maha Mantra Lau Tumi Mangi. I have brought medicine to awaken every living being from perpetual sleep. Please receive the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and awaken. The Katha Upanishad also says, Uttishta Jagrata Prapyavaran Nibodhata. O living entity, you are sleeping in this material world. Please get up and take advantage of your human form of life. The sleeping condition means loss of all knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said, Yanisha Sarva Bhutana Tasyam Jagrati Samyami. What is night? for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-controlled. Even in the higher planets, everyone is under the spell of illusory energy. No one is really interested in the real values of life. The sleeping condition called Kala Sarpa, the time factor, keeps the conditioned soul in a state of ignorance. And thus, therefore, pure consciousness is lost. In the forest, there are many blind wells, and if one falls down, there is no chance of being rescued. In a state of deep sleep, one remains perpetually bitten by some animals, especially snakes. Maharaj Jadabharat is explaining here about python or the biting of the snake. Both cases, one is swallowed, overwhelmed, unconscious. This snake of ignorance. Now, the point is that material desires are the cause of ignorance. Because sense gratification is what makes a person blind. And when one is blind to reality, that state is being described as a state of sleep. Because one may say that, okay, in life we are not sleeping, we are working very hard, foaming in the mouth, running here and there, pursuing various ambitions and so on. But the point is that because a materialistic living entity is blind to the reality of life, so the living entity is sleeping on the reality plane. Now, whether one is dreaming or whether one is in sound sleep, that doesn't matter. Both In both cases, the activity on the plane of reality is zero. So just like in the night when you sleep, someday we get dreams, someday we don't, someday we remember we got dreams, someday we don't remember we got dreams. But the point is, it doesn't matter, both are considered as sleep. Because dream or no dream, at least no tangible activity is done in our day-to-day lives. Like one is awake, one can read Bhagavatam, one can chant, one can, but sleeping state, when it is not counted, no such activity is counted like that. No work is counted. One cannot do some studies while sleeping. One may dream that he is studying, but one may not remember any information. That is what is called as a dream. So, being blind to the reality of life, whatever action is taken is zero. A person who does not study in the exam, he gets a zero. That's natural. But suppose there is another person, he is not studied for the exam, but he studied many other things. He studied general knowledge, he studied current affairs, uh, uh, he knows uh, he knows how terrorist works. He knows how psychopaths works. He know how governments work. He know how. So how many marks he'll get in the exam? He knows psychology of so many people. He knows how woman mongers work, how money mongers work, how power mongers work. How many marks he'll get in the exam? IIT exam. Very simple. He gets zero. Because in the exam, what is being asked is what is so exam what is asked is maths, computers, physics, not general knowledge, current affairs. So the point is whether one does not study or studies the whole thing but not the main thing, the result is zero. And that is why the materialistic living entities are compared to the candidates which are sleeping, who are sleeping. This is simply in the sleeping condition of the illusory energy. Because one is blind to the reality of his or her own existence, and therefore one is blind to uh, uh, any possibility of benefiting oneself. And that's why the state of material intoxication or material desires is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as sleeping in the lap of witch Maya. And therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is revealing the heart of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying, Enechiya Shadima, Nashibadala. So I'm giving you the medicine which can bring you, awaken you up from the sleeping state, ignorance. And what is that medicine? Harinama Maha Mantra Lao Tumi Mangi. So that medicine is the medicine of the holy name. Prabhupada is explaining. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Interestingly, we will see also this now in this verse, the Vanik is compared to, or the Vanik is being depicted as falling in a deep dark well. The interesting feature of the deep dark well is it's very deep, very dark. It is so deep and dark, and the consequence is what? If one is fallen, one is crying out for help, nobody is able to hear. So no rescue. And so it's a very interesting analogy because that is exactly the situation of every materialistic person. Because you see, materialistic people, uh, they you see, materialistic life leads one to a fall, and one is fallen in a deep dark well, very painful, very miserable, very lot of tribulations. And one is crying out, nobody is there to hear and help. Like that. Very, very painful. And nobody can help. Nobody can. It's a deep dark well. How? Just like sometimes what happens that people, uh, say for example, uh, uh, person has taken loan, probably to set a business. He's taken loan. He wanted to set a business. So he's taken money and he tried to set up a business and it failed. Now business has failed and huge loan is there. Hmm? This is called as deep dark well. A person will cry in pain. A person will cry for help, rescue, rescue. Can anybody help? Will anybody help? It's very difficult. Not so nobody will help. And even though somebody out of not very rare, somebody has a heart to help, he or she will not be able to help, because anybody and everybody in this material world is hand to mouth. People are expert in making themselves hand to mouth in this world. Why? Because somebody who is having a low income, such a person we can understand is hand to mouth. So somebody is having very high income, such a person also hand to mouth. Yes, because as soon as he gets or he or she gets money, then say low income person will take a 10 lakh flat, high income person will take a 10 crore flat. Ultimately, both become hand to mouth after that. This is not. That's the point. So this material world is hand to mouth existence, like that. So this is hand to mouth existence. Crying, simply crying. Therefore, you see, material desires, material satisfaction is not the way to a king size life. It is a way to a hand to mouth life. Yeah, it's a way to a hand to mouth life, because one is dependent, one is hankering. Everyone is hankering. Person on the cycle is hankering for a bike. Person in an SUV is hankering for a Benz. Person in a Benz is hankering for a chartered plane. Everyone is hankering. So everyone dissatisfied. So this hankering state is what? It is a beggar's life. So one is hankering, one doesn't have it, and one is trying out, oh, somehow or the other I can get it. It's a beggar's life. So who can live a king size life? Only a devotee of the Lord who is absorbed in the service of the Lord. Such a person can lead a king size life. Why? Because the devotee is not hankering for anything of this world. Hankering means beggar. Hankering means dependent on others' mercy. So a person hankering is going here and there. One may be, but what one has in one's hand is a bowl, the begging bowl, nothing else. So beggar is begging uh, for some 5 rupee, 10 rupee donation. So the beggar has a begging bowl. An IIT graduate also is begging. Begging for job. Oh, please give me job. Again, begging bowl is there in the hand. Oh, please take me. I'm very good, I'm very hardworking, So begging, having a begging bowl is a pauper, beggar, like that. Huh? Yeah. The person remains a beggar still. Yeah. Person is a beggar still. People have gone to US, they're also begging. Oh, please retain my job, please keep my job, because they know that if if there's no job, then they have to leave US. So they're begging some job, anyhow. Okay, an entrepreneur is also begging. What is he begging for? Funds. He's begging for funds. He's going to venture capitalists. He's going to angel investors saying, please give me. What he has, begging for. Like that. Okay, if he has sufficient funds, then also he's begging. Then he's begging customers. Please take my product. I am sold out slave to you. Whatever you want, I'll do. Simply a beggar. So material life is a beggar's life, like that. Everybody is begging. Politicians begging for votes. Doctors begging for patients. Saying, oh, please come, please come. So every day doctor will praying. Okay, today more patients come. That means what he's praying? He's praying that okay, more people can become ill and come to me. So he's praying, he's begging. Lawyer is begging, clients, like that. Everyone in this material world is begging like that for cheap things, for oneself. But there is emptiness. One is thinking, okay, if I can get something from others, then that can then I can be sufficient. I can be better, like that. The only person who can live a king-size life is a devotee of the Supreme Lord, is completely absorbed in the Supreme Lord, is satisfied in the service of the Supreme. Such a person doesn't need anything from anyone. And therefore, a great devotee of the Supreme Lord is called as Maharaj.
Oh,
Why is called as Maharaj? Because he's a king. He's not begging. As is saying, student is begging for marks and GPA. Yes, like that. So this is the point, that material life, one is always a beggar. It doesn't matter which position one is in, like that. Okay, as a preacher, one may be also going and begging others, please take to Krishna consciousness, but not one is not begging for oneself. No. So, like say we go out for preaching, uh, we are begging for their benefit. We're begging for their benefit. That's the point. So humility is not emptiness. Humility is compassion. That's the point. A sadhu is tolerant and humble. That doesn't mean that a sadhu is lacking, he wants some favor, this, that. No, no, no. Sadhu is fully satisfied. He's humble and tolerant out of compassion. That's the point. Let's read further. We beg from. Okay, so you're saying devotees also want Krishna's mercy, that is also begging, right? That is also begging. The devotees want Krishna's mercy. Yeah, so that state is being explained in this forest of material enjoyment only. That the materialistic person is diving into shallow rivers, whereas a devotee dives into an ocean, like that. So that is the difference. That is the difference. So the point is, uh, the when these materialistic people beg, then before getting the alms what they wanted, and after getting the alms, if they get it, they wanted, they still remain a beggar. But whereas a devotee, before getting what he wants, after getting what he wants, he is fully satisfied. Like that. Like say we are desiring in Kharagpur, we get Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani. That doesn't mean we are lacking anything. We are very happy serving Lord Nitai Chand. Then the Lord expand, that's a celebration. The Lord doesn't expand, then anyways we are celebration. Like that. So Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, Prabhupada was not lacking anything. But Prabhupada they opened 108 temples, then also is not lacking anything. Today we have 1,000 temples, then also we are not lacking anything. Tomorrow we'll have 10,000 temples, then also we are not lacking anything. That is the point. So the point is that uh, uh, when uh, 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 the living entity cries and tries and still remains empty, that is the point. Whereas a devotee may try and cry, but the devotee is never empty. If the whole world becomes Krishna consciousness, very nice. If nobody becomes Krishna conscious, doesn't matter. We can chant Hare Krishna and go back to Bharat. That's it. So we are not lacking anything. But a materialistic person feels an acute lack. Like that. Feels an acute lack. Materialistic person is feeling an acute lack, acute lacuna. And therefore, that is why it is said the materialistic person, rather here it is being explained, materialistic person is very much expert in falling deeper and deeper down into this dark well. Like say for example loans, people take loan and then they keep crying. Can anybody pay back? No. Just not. When they get money, with that money they'll purchase land. Now they are again in crisis of money, but they'll not sell the land. You know? Again in trouble. So unnecessary troubles one invites. Sometimes one takes a loan, takes a 5 crore flat, no? So and then not able to pay back, but he'll not give it up. So this is called the deep dark well. One will cry and cry, nobody can rescue. Nobody can rescue. So material desires are like that. So in whatever state one is in, one is very desperate and empty. But a devotee is not like that. Because a devotee is driving on the fuel of love. So therefore a devotee wants to do more for Krishna, but whatever degree it manifests, it is fine for a devotee. Like that. Sanatan Goswami was not feeling anything is lacking when he was just offering that atta bhati to the Lord Madan. The Lord was trying to convince him, Arey, at least give salt. He said, okay, if you want salt, you arrange. I am offering my best, I am satisfied. You know? You are not satisfied is your problem, you arrange. So the Lord arranged a rock salt boulder like that. Said, okay, now offer salt. So he was offering like that. And then he got opportunity, he got a beautiful temple for Lord Madan Mohan and beautiful worship, very gorgeous worship is taking place of Lord Madan Mohan. So in all the stages, Sanatan Goswami is always satisfied. Not that he did not increase the service, but at any given point, you see, he was ecstatic. That is the point. A devotee, similarly, we can see Prabhupada was full in his consciousness always. If there was nobody to preach, Prabhupada would write, and he would write and write and write. like that. But where was Prabhupada? Empty. That is the point. So Prabhupada was absorbed sitting in Tompkins Park also. He opened his eyes, he saw some people around. But he was absorbed, chanting the holy name. So this is the difference between a dry run and a loving run. In a dry run, there is no fun. Okay, from spiritual begging point of view, how can we know that we have done enough? Because result need not manifest in the form of big output. Yes, we can know enough. How we can know enough? By in spiritual life, if we are endeavoring enough, then we will not have any trace of sense gratification, any trace of puja lat pratishtha, and that is how we can know that whether we are doing enough or not. A devotee who is very nicely engaged in Krishna consciousness will not have a nano drop worth of taste for sense gratification. If that is a state, that means it's going very good. We should just continue the momentum. We are going back to Godhead. If we can catch hold of the 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people, they can also go back to Godhead. If that is the moment. So, the Acharyas explain distaste for material enjoyment is the proof of spiritual fervor. Result does not matter. Result may come in a very beautiful way, as generally is the case. But the experience is not dependent on the result. That is the point. Experience is dependent on absorption. So, matrix of spiritual advancement is distaste for material enjoyment. It's 10. Karhi smachit shudra rasan vichinvams. Anmakshikabhir vayatito vimana. Bhadratikrichrat pratilabdhamano. Baladvilumpanti athatam tatonye. Sometimes, in order to have a little insignificant sex enjoyment, one searches after debauched woman. In this attempt, one is insulted and chastised by the woman's kinsman. This is like going to take honey from a beehive and then being attacked by the bees. Sometimes, after spending lots of money, one may acquire another woman for some extra sense enjoyments. Unfortunately, the object of sense enjoyment, that is the woman, is taken away or kidnapped by another debauchee. Purport. In a great forest, honeycombs are very important. People often go there to collect honey from the combs, and sometimes the bees attack and punish them. In human society, those who are not Krishna conscious remain in the forest of material life simply for the honey of sex life. Such debauchees are not at all satisfied with one wife. They want many women day after day. With great difficulty, they try to secure such women, and sometimes, while trying to taste this kind of honey, one is attacked by a woman's kinsman and chastised very heavily. By bribing others, one may secure another woman for enjoyment, yet another debauchee may kidnap her or offer her something better. This woman hunting is going on in the forest of material world, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally. Consequently, in this Krishna consciousness movement, the devotees are forbidden to have illicit sex. Thus, they avoid so many difficulties. One should remain satisfied with one woman with being duly married. One can satisfy one's lusty desires with his wife without creating disturbances in society and being punished for doing so. There is forest of material enjoyment. There are honeycombs. Prabhupada is saying honeycombs. Because there happens to be honey, but then the bees will bite. And the bees bite really hard. So if one wants honey, and one has to go through the biting of the bees. So this is how material world is. Flickering sense enjoyment at the cost of lasting pain. We can calculate the gain. So little flickering sense enjoyment and lasting pain. That's the point. Yeah, that's what that's what is material life. So Bhagavatam gives another analogy. Many times, in this analogy, it says, okay, people are looking for some some precious jewel or some diamond and like that. But this diamond is being guarded by a snake, venomous snake. So one wants to get the diamond, but one is bitten by the snake, like that. So this is the kind of this is material. Sex life. Prabhupada is saying the very deep shackle. This honey of sex life costs a lot of money, brings so much agony. So we can understand that this is the basic intrinsic problem in sex desire or in particular or in general with any material desire. The problem is it never gets satisfied. So Prabhupada is saying people are attached to sex, they can never be satisfied with one woman. Because the sex desire is never satisfied, it is insatiable. And because it is never satisfied, person will never be satisfied, whatever one does, wherever one goes. And the point is, howsoever one tries, one is inviting a lot of trouble. There is bee bite, there is snake bite, and so on. A lot of problems. So we have to understand the material desire, the sex desire has to be given up, has to be sublimated. Krishna is telling, the Shastras are telling, the Acharyas are telling that this sex desire can be sublimated. So there are only certain materials which can be sublimated, no? You heat, and it just vanishes like camphor, no? You heat, it vanishes. Can be sublimated. It goes into vapor state straight. So by heat, the only very few substances. So the Lord is telling that material desires can be sublimated. In particular, sex desire also can be sublimated. How? By the fire of service in the mission of the Lord. So if you want the sublimation to take place, one should increase the fire. Fire increases, the sex desire can be sublimated. It is possible. Only thing one has to ensure is that one should never let down this fire of Krishna consciousness. Fire of Sankirtan. Because the fire is lost, then one will be overwhelmed. So that is what happens actually. In our life also we can see whichever phases there is very busy, the nice service going on, one doesn't feel the surge of material desires. But when the intensity of service goes down, material desires again overwhelm us, again start overwhelming us. So the solution is what? The solution is never go down or never. So therefore, spiritual gear, you should never take it down. And I say, why? Because if we take that down, immediately material desires will surge up and overshadow us. So that's why it is said, spiritual life, one should never take the gear down. We keep taking the gear up and up and up and up and up, always. So we take the gear down, oh, material desires will overwhelm us. So the hope is that this exercise, although it is very intense, although it is overwhelming, but it can be sublimated. All we have to do is increase the fire of Krishna consciousness for all times to come. Never take it down. So therefore, in bhakti, whenever we pick up something, we should never give it up. If that principle we follow, then we'll be safe from this onslaught of sex desire and, but in particular, material desire in general. So therefore, in bhakti, whatever we pick up, service, momentum, commitment, one should never take it down. Therefore, bhakti should be like one dimension or no one directional, unidirectional traffic, no coming back. Because if we come back, oh, it is going to be very, very painful. So the material desires increase so rampantly, it can make a ghost out of a person. That's what happens to every materialistic person. Let's read further. कुचिक्षा शीततापवातवर्षा प्रतिक्रियां कर्तुमनीश अस्ते क्वचिन्मिथो विपणन् च किञ्चित् विद्वेषं पृच्छति उत साठ्यात्. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, the living entities create enmity among themselves. This is an example of the struggle for existence. the attempt to counteract the onslaught of material nature. Yeah. This creates enmity in society, and consequently, society is filled with envious people. One person is envious of another, and this is the way of the material. The Krishna consciousness movement aims at creating an atmosphere of non envy. Of course, it is not possible for everyone to become Krishna conscious. But the Krishna consciousness movement can create an exemplary society wherein there is no envy. Disturbance is a signal to highlight the urgency or the emergency to raise our consciousness. So, why are there these natural disturbances which are arranged in our life? That is just to shake us up. Shake up? That is just to shake us up. So, shaking causes, so shaking up causes the waking up. That's the point. When there is disturbance, we have to understand that the disturbance is happening because I am lingering on to a lower plane of consciousness, not awakening to the reality of the spiritual principles. And that is why each and every situation is being painful. So natural disturbances are Krishna's arrangements. Time and again we become hungry. The signal is that okay, no matter whatever, Navan mein okay, no matter whatever I eat, again become hungry. Yes, this is to signal that one should not just remain hankering for eating, because no matter whether one does not eat, fasts or eats little bit more, one is always hungry. So Krishna's arrangements. Similarly, you see metal objects we get bored. Krishna's arrangement. Because Krishna is showing that okay, don't keep clinging on to it because it destroyed, you will die of heart attack. So in this way, we can see disturbance is an arrangement. Also. It's a signal that it's high time now we should raise our. Therefore, the characteristic of a devotee is disturbance. And then Maharaj Jadabharat is explaining here So yes, someone gets cheated by another living entity. Let's read text 12 then. This is text 12. क्वचित् क्वचित् क्षीणधनस्तु तस्मिन् शय्यासनास्थानविहारहीना याचन् परात् अप्रतिलब्धकामा पराख्य दृष्टिर्लभते वमानः. On the forest path of material existence, sometimes a person is without wealth and due to this does not have a proper home, bed or sitting place, nor proper family enjoyments. He therefore goes to beg money from others, but when his desires are not fulfilled by begging, he wants to borrow or steal property of others. Thus, he is insulted in the society. The principles of beg, borrow, or steal are very appropriate in this material world. When one is in want, he begs, borrows, or steals. If begging is unsuccessful, he borrows. If he cannot pay, he steals. And when he is caught, he is insulted. This is the law of material existence. No one can live here very honestly. Therefore, by trickery, cheating, begging, borrowing, or stealing, one tries to satisfy his senses. There's no one in this material world is living peacefully. Okay. Hmm. Very interesting. This is another difference between material begging and spiritual begging. In spiritual begging, one always continues to beg. In material begging, so begging doesn't serve the purpose. One borrows, and that also doesn't serve the purpose. Then one steals. Uh, so material begging will always go from begging to borrowing to stealing. Is it not? Ah, one steals. So first one begs, please give me money, please give me job. People don't give. Then one borrows, okay, please lend me some money. I'm in need. And then when the time of returning the money comes, he runs away because he's unable to pay back. But but spiritually, one is always begging for the mercy of the Acharyas. There's another difference, The vibhuti of spiritual begging. Material begging does not remain at the point of begging. It goes much more gross and it goes much more gross and much more miserable. It just doesn't remain at the level of begging. Interesting difference. Let's read further. Next text is okay, this is 12, right? We'll go to 13. This is 13. My mistake creation. Anyonya vitta yati sangha vridha vairānubandho vivahanmithascha advane amusmin urukrishravitta andhopasarger viharan vipanna. Due to monetary transactions, relationships become very strained and end in enmity. Sometimes the husband and wife walk on the path of material progress, and to maintain their relationship, they work very hard. Sometimes, due to scarcity of money or due to disease condition, they are embarrassed and almost die. In the material world, there are many transactions between people and societies. Uh, So in the material world, there are many transactions between peoples and societies as well as between nations, but gradually these end in enmity between the two parties. Similarly, in the marriage relationship, gradually one becomes overwhelmed by the same monetary transactions and one becomes so afflicted by disease or other dangerous conditions of material life that one almost dies. In the modern age, most countries have developed economy. Due to business exchanges, relationships seem to be strained. Finally, wars are declared between nations, and as a result of these upheavals, there is destruction all over the world, and the people suffer heavily. So, due to monetary transactions, relationships become very strained and end in enmity. Sometimes, the husband and wife walk on the path of material progress, and to maintain their relationship, they work very hard. Sometimes, due to scarcity of women or due to disease conditions, or scarcity of money and due to disease conditions, they are embarrassed and almost die. Bhagavatam does explain that any relationship which takes place over money uh, is very, very uncertain, or you can say is very, very flickering, and eventually it leads to a lot of pain. Monetary transactions. So money brings about a great amount of uh, enmity. Money brings about a great amount of enmity. So you might think, okay, so nowadays there is a lot of focus on relationships, which yield money. But when money is the basis of relationship, then that relationship is very, very painful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But just like an employer and an employee, the employee is thinking, because the employee is thinking, I am not getting sufficiently paid, so let me not work enthusiastically. That's what the employee is thinking, that how to work less and get more money. And the employer is also thinking, I am giving this much money and I want more than this. You see, money is the basis, relationship is very strained. When service is the basis, relationship is very sweet. Because suppose if I ask money from you, then there is a limit to how much you can give, or whether you would like to give or not. There is a big question mark over there. So money is the basis, is always strain and pain. But when service is the basis, so if you no, so if I ask you money, you may give something. But I ask you, please give more, and you may not give. When if you ask me, the same is going to happen. I may give a little bit out of courtesy or whatever, no? But more is asked, not give. So when I ask, so money is the basis, then there is a huge amount of limitation. But if I want to serve you, if I ask for service, I'll be happy to give. More service, more happy to give. Is it not? Like some devotee comes to ISKCON temple, he says, I want some seva, no? Will he be any time told that, okay, there's no seva? Why should he be seva, There's always so much service. Like even if someone comes to New Alipur, do you not have any seva? We have so much seva. We can give them 21 cookings in a week. There's so much seva. Vessel washing, cleaning, no? So much seva. Yeah, garland making, yeah. So much seva is there. So service we want, there is no strain. Favors we want, there is strain. So therefore, when money is a basis, then whether it's a business relationship or it's a husband-wife relationship, it is going to be very painful. Krishna is the basis, everything will be taken care of. That's the idea which is being explained here. Let's read text 14. Tamstan vipannan sahitatra tatra विहाय जातं परिगृह्य सार्थ आवर्तते द्वापि न कश्चिदन्त वीराध्वनः परमुपैति योगम् My dear king, on the forest path of material life, first a person is bereft of his father and mother, and after their death, he becomes attached to his newly born children. In this way, he wanders on the path of material progress and is eventually embarrassed. Nonetheless, no one knows how to get out of this, even up to the point of death. In this material world, family life is an institution of sex. In Maithunadi Grihamedi Sukham, this is Bhagavatam 7.9. Through sex, the father and mother beget children, and the children get married and go down the same path of sexual life. After the death of the father and mother, children get married and beget their own children. Thus, generation after generation, these things go on in the same way without anyone's attaining liberation from the embarrassment of material life. No one accepts the spiritual process of knowledge and renunciation, which end in Bhakti Yoga. No one accepts the spiritual processes of knowledge and renunciation, which end in bhakti. Actually, human life is meant for jnana and vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. Through these, one can attain the platform of devotional service. Unfortunately, people in this age avoid the association of liberated persons. Thus, they are embarrassed by the exchange of money and sex. Oh, unfortunately, people in this age avoid the association of liberated people and continue in the stereotyped way of family life. They are thus embarrassed by the exchange of money and sex. Okay, let's stop here for today. Can you elaborate on the point relationship based on service? Whenever the service is given, we try to escape until devotees catch us. Yes. So we should feel grateful when devotees catch us. One should see, we all have a need of inspiration and push. Now Krishna and devotees may arrange that inspiration and push for us. The only thing you have to do is when push is coming, then not to give too much resistance. And if we simply do that, we can get a lot of mercy and a lot of spiritual advancement can be. So just allow ourselves to be pushed uh, and be grateful and cooperative whenever we are. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada.
Bye.
Jai,
Hari Bol.
Krishna.